Hello everybody, it's Dr. Zaino for 15-Minute Fuel. Let me lower this. We're just in 15 minutes a day. We're going to fuel your mind, your body, and your future. All right, when everybody's getting on, episode 19 is live right now. So if you're watching this replay, you'll see a link right there, and that'll be episode 19 of We Are Heroes. Check it out. Make sure you like it and share it. Just hit the share button. You've been watching it long enough. Share it with others. It's great stuff. It's a really good one. They're always good. And so make sure you share it. Also, if you have not joined us on SoundCloud, all these 15-minute fuels now, we have it on podcast. They're on SoundCloud. You guys are watching on YouTube Live. All of these are also on YouTube. Subscribe. So when you go to YouTube, go to Chris Zaino, go to YouTube, hit subscribe, and then hit the bell. That's going to show you there's notifications when I do these lives, or when we put a podcast on YouTube or We Are Heroes on YouTube, you're going to get the notifications so you don't miss any of them. So use the weekends. I know, if you guys fall a little bit behind, that's fine. Use the weekends to catch up or your downtime. It's all there for you. So make sure, when it comes to the podcast, it's SoundCloud and Stitcher. And are we on?
Stitcher, you're also on iTunes, and then iTunes has a couple other things that they push to as well.
Good. And we're on iTunes as well. So what's it on iTunes, Dr. Zaino?
It should be Dr. Zaino, yep.
Dr. Zaino on iTunes. So we're spreading out. All right, so join us, be part of the community. Thank you so much again, guys. You'll see all the links. There it is. All right, so what we're going to talk about today is become a potentialist. I was thinking in the books I'm about to write, I'll definitely do a book that is I Am Hero. All right, we'll definitely do that one. But then the second one would be the potentialist. Now, the potentialist is very important because when it comes to a hero, they're not perfectionists, they're potentialists. See, a perfectionist, what tends to happen when we try to be perfect, we wait till everything is perfect. We actually wait till the circumstances are perfect before we take action, before we meet the right person or the circumstances are the way it should be, then we move. But trying to become a perfectionist, A, never happens, and B, you're going to miss out on great opportunity. Where a potentialist is someone who, despite the circumstances, you're not driven by the circumstances. You're a person who does the best they can with what they got in the moment they have it. Very important, in the moment, because when you do the best you can with what you have in the moment you have it, means that each moment there could be a certain, there's difference, right? So I always use the analogy, if I broke let's say there was a fire and someone's in the fire. And in the moment, I got to do the best I can with what I got in the moment. But let's say I broke my arm, right? So I only have one arm. So I'm a potentialist. I got to do the best I can with what I got, one arm, in the moment. So that's why when you're a potentialist, a hero is a potentialist. They're not focused on their weaknesses in the moment. They're not focused on what the circumstances are. And they're not focused if they're good enough or not. All they could do is say, listen, I'm going to do the best I can with what I got in the moment I got it. And that truly is a hero's motto, a hero's way. But when it talks about potential, let's talk about something that destroys your self-esteem, something that creates torment in your life on both ends. How do we determine if we're successful or not? How do we determine if we made it or not? Listen to this, right? What do? We have to compare to something. So there must be some type of average, mediocre standard in life, in society, that we may know consciously or subconsciously. And so that's why, how can we point to someone and say, well, they made it, and someone else, they say, well, they didn't make it? What are we basing it off of? So I think subconsciously, society creates a standard, right? And if you're above the standard, let's say you make $100 million a year, just saying, it's the illusion that you're above the standard. Notice I said the illusion. And if, let's say if you hear a study, the average household income is $50,000 a year, and if you say, wow, I made 30, I'm below the standard, right? So there's these standards that create illusion and they create comparison. Because if I compare, you can't compare, because if let's say I'm on the top end, and let's say, we'll use the top end. Let's say I'm on the top end and I made $100 million last year. And it's very easy for me to go by the standard and say, I'm way above standard, so therefore I'm successful, or appear to be, because I'm above the standard. And it's easy to get complacent, and it's also easy to feel guilty about your accomplishment. Very easy, right? And then you get complacent because you felt you made it. But there's still depression, torment, disengagement, unsatisfaction. At the other end, let's say you didn't meet the standard, so now you feel depressed or less than or unworthy. And then we start to blame the circumstances, the government, the economy, right? Because our education, because we didn't meet this delusional standard, this magic number or this magic thing we were taught to do. So each way when we compare to the standard is going to create torment in our lives. Because the reason why the person who makes 100 million or $1 billion a year feels depressed, has unsatisfaction and disengagement is because they're comparing themselves to a standard, but they're not comparing themselves to their own potential. You follow what I'm saying? So that's what happens, that you're going to feel torment if you're not reaching your own potential in life. So instead of comparing yourself to others, compare yourself to what is my potential. Because when you compare it to what your potential is, then there's no comparison except for you. You're the ultimate judge of yourself and your potential. You're not comparing yourself to others. There's no guilt, there's no shame. You're doing the best you can with what you got in the moment you have it. And all of us through our lives, there's situations where doing the best you can with what you got in the moment you have it, that could be you trying to start a business. And maybe the first 6 months of starting the business, there's no income, there's negative income. But you know what? You're doing the best you can. You're doing the best with your potential. At the other end, let's say there's someone there and you see someone, perfect example. And this is a story that really started kind of self-awareness and personal development with me. I was in college in Atlanta, Georgia. Yes, and I flew to Houston. I flew to Houston, Texas. And I went to, I flew there just for the day. And I had a cab driver. And the cab driver was driving around Houston and he was so full of joy. He loved his job. He was so happy. He was so full of joy. He was almost in a state of bliss. He was so happy it was enough to piss you off, that type of happy. Because the reason why it got you a little upset, because here I say, I'm in doctorate school. I'm going to college. I really have every reason to be blessed. I was in my 20s at the time. And I'm like, and this guy seems or has, he literally had a more joyful, blissful, fulfilled life than I do. And that was the first time I really thought about it, going, wow, he's just so happy, but he doesn't have the material things. He doesn't have the amazing job or the amazing education, but what he has is the love of life. And I envied that. I was like, that is a beautiful thing, because I realized that was something money can buy. So this is why we can't compare someone who's living or making materialistically under the standard, because they could be living in bliss. They could be happy. They could be an amazing father or mother. They could have an amazing life with true fulfillment in their life. But if comparing it, that person would seem less than. Where the 100 millionaire or billionaire could be suicidal, right? So this is why we don't compare ourselves to others all the time. We compare ourselves to our own potential, all right? Spine Pro said right here, when you live in your secret identity, it's not your dream, it's for someone else's dream. Absolutely. Your secret identity, you're living somebody else's values in your life. And that's why this is the way society makes us put on this fake or secret identity so we could conform to it. And we base our whole entire life towards it, versus becoming and learning and becoming self-aware of who we are and who we are created to be. Life is not about the doing, it's about the being, becoming who you're created to be. And in the being of who you are comes the doing. All right. So, but I say all that not to compare, but then I'm going to switch it around and say, are there times to lift your head up and compare, or to look at others? Absolutely. But do it in a healthy way. I think it's very great to be able to look at others, to become inspired by what they are doing, to lay the blueprint to inspire you that you do have high potential and you could do bigger things than you think you have in your potential. You follow what I'm saying? So I'm trying to be very careful here. I'm not saying be inspired by somebody else and say I'm going to do exactly what they do or try to live their life, because that's a second form of secret identity. Because there's two forms. The second form is what I call the delusional successful secret identity, where the person, they are making the great money. They have everything, but they just copied somebody else, and they're wearing a counterfeit version of somebody else, and they're doing great. They're making the sales. They're doing everything great, but they realize deep down inside they're empty because they're somebody else. They don't even know who they are. So you don't want to copy the person, but if someone inspires you, and you could look at them and become inspired of a person who's living a higher potential in their life, right? So that inspires me to say, you know what? Look at all they're doing. Now, I don't want to do or copy them, but I know that there's another level that my potential to go up. So it inspires me to know that I have more in me. Because we always have that voice, right? The secret identity is always trying to bring us down, because the secret identity is trying to save its life. When an animal's about to die, what's it do? For survival, it'll fight. So your secret identity will tell you there's not another level. You made it. Don't worry about it. Don't be ungrateful, right? But realize when I follow people, when I look at mentors online, I see the great things that they're doing. Instead of doing what they do, I look at them and say, man, I'm inspired to live at that level, but as Zaino would live at that level, at that potential. So it's okay to stick your head up, peek around, look what other people are doing, not to compare yourself, but to be inspired, because they're just a little bit further ahead and they literally left the blueprint of what you're capable of and even more. So don't look at people that are doing great things and say, oh man, I just can't be like them. You're right, you can't. I just can't do what they do. You're right, you can't. But you know what? You could do you way better than you could do them. You follow what I'm saying? Let me say that again. You could do you way better than you could do them. Let them inspire you to say, you know what? I could do bigger and better things, and inspire you to make changes. So maybe you're like, wow, they're doing that. They have a lot of energy. I don't. So maybe I need to start, working on my nutrition and taking care of my body to have higher energy capacity. And while they seem to read a lot of books, I'm going to start reading books. See, I'm inspired to better myself as a human being to reach the next level. So we don't want to look at people and get depressed and feel guilty. You want to be able to look to others, very important people, certain people, be careful who you look at, that inspire you to say, you know what? I'm inspired to become a better version of me, not to be them, not to dress like them, not to talk like them, not to say the words they say, but I could be a better version or the ultimate hero version of me, because that's why you're inspired. When you see a speaker, when you see a celebrity, what gets you excited about them or you relate to them is you're seeing someone closer to their hero mode than we are. And that's a good thing, because I want to know I have more hero mode in me as I get older. And so that's why, so don't compare. Comparison will destroy your self-esteem and create torment in your life if you're comparing yourself to a delusional standard, what society brings. But it is okay to pick your head up once in a while and say, you know what? That person inspires me to be a better version of me. And then that's what you look forward to. So there's no condemnation, there's no guilt, there's no beating yourself up. Because on the days where you're not having a great day, what do you ask? You ask yourself to do what? Today, it's not a great day, but I'm just going to do the best I can with what I got in the moment I have it. So if the best I got is 80%, I'm going to give 80%. And if you just have that mindset every single day and being merciful for yourself and having grace on yourself and saying, listen, not every day is going to be perfect, or I'm going through tough times right now, you just say, I'm a potentialist. I'm going to do the best I can with what I got in the moment I have it. And then maybe during tough times, that's when you look out and you get inspired by others to say, you know what, it doesn't last forever. Because when I get inspired by others, they all have a story, right? They have a story of when they were younger, they got a head trauma and they couldn't remember anything, and they started remembering things, and now that's what they do for a living. They teach people how to remember and read a book a day, right? So you get to see the journey, the hero's journey of that person. So I think to myself, I don't want a head trauma, but I'm inspired that they took that tough time in their life and they became the best they can, and they created a legacy. And that's the same thing with you. All right, so if you like it, thumbs up, muscles up, share, and I'll answer some questions. All right, so my mom's on, of course. Hey, George. My wife's on. Hey, Rob New and Schwander, congratulations for being on the clinic. Hey, Marla. Hey, Sean. Let's see if we got some potentially an awesome fuel. Absolutely. Hey, Chris. Hey, Kat. If you're a full cup, you can't put a lid on it. I love it. Hey, Mick. Good to see you, sir. Victor, let me just see if we have... Oh, hit that share button, everybody. I see everybody sharing. Thank you so much. My mom likes it. Right. So Mick, Dr. Mick said, he said this because he always has good stuff. Comparison is another form of codependency. Wow. Comparison is another form of codependency. Because and that goes back to the thing. I don't know if you're probably one of the first or second fuels I did. I think when you compare yourself to other people, you wind up shaking your hand at God and saying, why didn't you create me like that person? Why didn't you create me like somebody else? Not as a codependency, it could be one of the ultimate insults to your creator when you wish you were like somebody else. All right, so in closing, make sure you like, you share episode 19. Boom, there's the link right there. Watch that, share it, enjoy it. Also, if you go on my the Dr. Zaino page, you're going to see a great podcast I did with Dr. Brady. That was a really good one. You probably saw that in an earlier episode of We Are Heroes. We were in Park City. You get to see the full podcast episode. Check that out. He's doing a great job. And as everything, guys, join all our social media, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat for the fun stuff, YouTube, and Facebook at Dr. Zaino. Thanks so much again. I'll see you tomorrow at 2 p.m. Central live for 15-Minute Fuel, where in 15 minutes a day, we're going to fuel your mind, your body, and your future. God bless and take care. Boop, boop.